The sound of the engine hummed steadily as Jack drove along the dark and seemingly endless highway. He had been driving for hours, with no signs of civilization in sight. Jack glanced at the clock on his dashboard, 2:13 a.m. He had to be nearing the end of his journey, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he was lost. Suddenly, he saw a sign up ahead. It read "Next exit, 5 miles." Jack let out a sigh of relief and decided to pull off at the next exit to stretch his legs and maybe grab a cup of coffee. But as he drove on, the exit never seemed to get any closer. He glanced at the sign again, and it still read "Next exit, 5 miles." Jack felt a chill run down his spine as he realized that something was off. He looked at his GPS, but it showed no signal. Suddenly, he saw headlights in his rearview mirror. The car behind him was gaining on him quickly, so Jack pulled over to let it pass. But the car didn't pass. Instead, it pulled up alongside him, and Jack could see that there was no driver behind the wheel. Panic set in as Jack tried to speed up, but the car stayed right next to him. He could hear whispers and laughter coming from inside the car, even though he could see that it was empty. Jack felt his heart racing as he tried to outrun the car, but it kept pace with him no matter how fast he went. After what felt like an eternity, the car suddenly disappeared. Jack breathed a sigh of relief and pulled over to the side of the road, only to find himself back where he started. The sign still read "Next exit, 5 miles." Jack realized that he was trapped in an endless loop, doomed to drive the same stretch of highway forever. As he sat in his car, surrounded by darkness, Jack felt a presence looming over him. He looked up to see a figure standing outside his car, staring at him with cold, dead eyes. Jack screamed as he realized that he was not alone on the road. He was being watched by something malevolent, something that wanted him to remain on the endless highway forever. The Blackout Road. It was a dark and stormy night, and the group of strangers were driving home from a concert when a power outage struck the town. The streetlights went out, and their GPS systems and cell phones stopped working. They found themselves stranded on a deserted road, with no idea where they were or how to get home. As they huddled together in the car, trying to keep warm, they heard strange noises outside. At first, they thought it was just the wind howling, but then they heard footsteps approaching the car. Suddenly, the car shook violently, and the group screamed as they realized that something was attacking them from outside. They tried to start the car and drive away, but the engine wouldn't turn over. As they sat in terror, the darkness outside seemed to close in on them, and they felt as though they were being suffocated by an invisible force. The group began to panic, screaming and crying out for help, but no one came. Hours passed, and the storm raged on. The group sat in silence, too terrified to speak, and listened as the footsteps and scratching on the car continued. They knew that they were being watched, but they couldn't see anything in the darkness. Finally, as the storm began to calm down, the power returned, and the car's engine started. The group quickly drove away from the deserted road, never looking back. As they drove home, they talked about what had happened, trying to make sense of it all. They realized that they had been on a cursed road, haunted by the ghosts of those who had died there. From that day on, they never spoke of their experience again, too afraid that they might attract the attention of the evil spirits that haunted the Blackout Road.